convince me that what I did is wrong. No matter what you say, you can't have my head. I push the fear away. You remember what I said. You can't stop the tide rising high. You can't stop the light in my eyes. You can't keep it down. Tell you why.
What page you going live off of?
Mine. Facebook, we do not own the rights to this music. We do not own the rights to this music. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all doing?
We're good.
Good.
Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Conversations Unlocked and Unfiltered. Today, I am your host, Ebony Young, and my co-host,
Misha.
and we have a special guest. Introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Sherman Milton III. I am a local real estate advisor here in the Tampa Bay market. Born and raised in La Cucha, Florida. If anybody don't know where La Cucha, Florida is, we are north of Tampa.
That's out there. That's in the sticks.
We
That's up.
the country people.
Yeah, that's out there in the country. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for volunteering your time and willing to participate in our podcast and join us today. Before we get started, we always start with prayer. So, sis, can you open us up with prayer, please? And thank you.
Sure. God, thank you for today. Thank you for keeping us throughout the day, through this week that's coming up. Bless this podcast. Let it help me and others, especially with the topic for today. Continue to give us topics that people want to hear about so we can be a blessing in the community. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, welcome everybody to Conversations Unlocked and Unfiltered. I am your host again. I'm Ebony Young with my co-host Misha, and we have Mr. Sherman Milton the third, who is a real estate advisor. Um, do you want to tell everybody where you work? Where do you normally participate, or I don't know
Sure.
what the word is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, Sherman Milton III here. I work for Piney Woods Realty here in Tampa, but I cover Hillsborough, Pasco, some parts of Hernando, and some parts of Polk County, but primarily I stay in Hillsborough and Pasco. I've been in the industry now for a little over 9 years, so I've been slinging houses for quite some time. I help folks buy homes. I help people sell homes. I help, when folks have questions, right? I get a lot of folks, our folks will call. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. I don't understand this. Could you help explain it? And that's something I like to do as well at no cost, right? So like, I wanna like emphasize that, like, hey, if you got some real estate stuff that's going on and you have some questions, feel free to always reach out to me and run it by me. Before you sign anything, that's the biggest thing I'm seeing in our community. So like, before you sign anything, call Realtor Sherman.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. So the reason why we asked you to come on, because we've been talking about real estate, personal conversation between me and my sister, which was a personal debate, renting versus buying, and so she's not really sure that she's ready to buy. I just bought my house. I've been here a year. Um, well, this is the second house I bought, but this is the first house I bought by myself. So I was kind of giving her advice, but I feel like we probably need like a more professional approach. So you want to ask him your first question?
Well, that's my first question. What's the difference, especially with the how the market is? What's the difference in renting and buying, or the pros and cons, I should say?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question because a lot of my folks, they come to me like, yo, why am I going to buy? I may as well rent or vice versa. And it all depends on your situation, to be quite honest, if you should rent or if you should buy. Because I get folks that come to me like, yo, Sherm, I want to buy a house. And I'm like, no, you need to be renting somebody's house, for now, right? But there's pros and cons to it. So home ownership, it's tough. It is. It's tough, but you're getting equity, hopefully, and that home is going to appreciate, etc. Right? And when I say it's tough, is because when stuff break, you ain't got nobody to call. Like, you got to deal with that yourself. Now, there's some things that you can do to alleviate that pain. You get like a home warranty system. You can find, a local handyman and stuff like that, or you can buy, different type of homes, right? The cons, let's see. So the cons of renting is that your rent can go up. And we saw that during the pandemic and right after the pandemic. Folks' rent went up, not, like 3%. I saw rents go from, like $1,200 to $2,000 a month. So those are definitely some cons of renting a home. Some other cons is that you're not getting any equity, right? While you're renting that house, you're already paying a mortgage. That's what I tell folks. When you're renting, you're already paying a mortgage. You're paying a mortgage for the landlord. But you don't have the headache. So not having the headache, that's where a lot of folks I see that they appreciate and they rather not have those headaches. Then on the flip side, when you buy a home, that home traditionally is going to appreciate. So meaning year after year, that home's value is going to go up. And I tell folks, as you live in that home, you're going to pay that mortgage down, and you can always pull that money out and do something with it, or you can sell that property and move that money onto a new property or do whatever you want to do with it. And also your mortgage interest, that can be a tax write-off for some folks as well. So could be some tax advantages to owning a home. So it all depends on the person's situation, right? Because like if you're going to move, like, hey, I'm here to take this job. I'm going to be in this city for, a year and a half, 2 years, and I'm going to transfer out somewhere else. Buying may not be the best opportunity for you, best option for you, because you have to come up with your down payment and you're going to have some closing costs as well. And so all those numbers, they can add up and they can get very expensive if you don't do it right.
So equity, explain equity.
Absolutely. So equity is almost like a piggy bank for your home. So let's say you buy the house for $100,000. And you live in that house for 10 years, hopefully. And what traditionally happens is that every year the value, so you bought it at 100, and let's see, after 10 years, your house is worth $150,000 now, right? And let's say you owe $50,000 on that mortgage. So your equity is how much the house is worth minus how much you owe on it. So in that case, you would have $100,000 in equity, which you could go ahead and pull that money out by doing a refinance or doing some type of home equity line of credit. Or if you were to sell that property, minus any real estate commissions, any other fees, that money that you have left over, that's the equity that you have. And you can do whatever you want. And so a good thing about that too, depending on you're married or single, depending on how much equity you have when you sell it, you may not have to pay capital gains taxes on that money.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I don't know if this is more for a banker or you. So, say you do pull out money from your equity. Do you have to pay that back into your equity into the house?
Absolutely, because you got to pay that money back. So that's what a lot of folks, and you will hear like these real estate gurus say, "Hey, we don't sell houses; we pull the equity out." And we live off of that, right? But you got to think about that a little more, right? So what a lot of these folks do, so if you're going to pull out equity, we don't pull out equity to go buy luxury cars and designers, right? When you pull out equity, it's for, I see folks use it for a life event, right? I want to send my kid to college. What the smart folks do, what they'll do is they'll reinvest that equity. So, hey, I got $100,000 sitting in my condo right now. Let me pull out that money and let me go buy another piece of real estate where I can use that as a down payment. And now I'm making more money on that. So yes, I took that money out, but now I just bought a new real estate property. I just bought some more real estate, and I already got my down payment from the equity from my home. And so how am I going to pay that money back now? I have a rental property that I'm making money in every single month. That's going to pay off that new mortgage for that new home. And it's also going to help me pay back that equity that I took out of my house. Does that make sense?
It does. I didn't know that you can do that.
Yes. So that's the name of the game. And the reason why you want to do it that way, right? So let's see. So like I have a HELOC on one of my properties, right? My HELOC.
Hold on. Say that. What is
I'm
that?
sorry. So a
Explain.
HELOC is a home equity line of credit.
Okay.
So it's a credit card for your house. That's the easiest way to explain it. Now let's look at so I'll break it down. So me taking out that HELOC, now I have cash that I can go buy other real estate with, and my interest rate is much lower than what it would be if I was to do like an investment loan or an investment mortgage with the bank, or if I were just to use a regular credit card. Your credit card interest rates are going to range from, on the low end, 12% all the way up to, I've seen, 26, 27%. So that's why you want to use a HELOC, is because your rates are going to be lower and it's easier to get money out using a home equity line of credit or to refinance your home, because your home is the collateral. But listen, if you don't pay them people back your money, they're going to take your house. Point blank. Ain't no way. LOLJK. No, the bank won't their money back and they're going to take your house.
Okay. Okay, so that was just a lot to pack in, just all at once, right? Okay, so refinancing. Okay, so I get offers to refinance my house all the time, but my house is only a year, right? And I just don't feel like I should refinance because there's no reason for me to refinance. So would you say it's a good thing to refinance, or you only refinance if you absolutely have to?
No, that's a great question. So folks are going to be sending you stuff in the mail all the time. Stop calling them folks and stop taking people's calls. That's what I tell my people. So let's say, so you just bought your house a year ago and you're thinking about refinancing. Most likely, no, that's not a good idea, because anytime you refinance, the bank is going to charge you fees. So that's how the bank gets paid. Now, when I recommend refinancing, so let's say your interest rate is 6%, right? And let's say tomorrow interest rates go down to 3%. I'm going to ask you, how long are you going to stay in that house? If you're going to stay in the house for some time, okay, it may be wise for you to refinance out of that high interest rate to a lower interest rate, because you're going to save money on your monthly payment. But you're going to pay some closing costs. So that's something to always keep in mind. That's why I tell folks, if you're not saving a lot of money on that interest rate, it may not make sense to refinance if you're not going to be in that home for a certain amount of time.
So I already closed. So when you refinance, you have to go back and pay closing costs?
You're going to have some closing costs, correct. So you're listen, anytime you pick up the phone and call the bank, they want to get paid, because that's how they get paid, right? So the banker is going to charge you fees to process that loan. The appraiser is going to want their money for going out to appraise the home and tell you how much the home is worth. Your title company is going to charge you to redo your title docs and everything for that. Now, your closing costs aren't going to be as expensive as it was the first time, but yes, you will have some closing costs. So that's why I tell my folks, look at all your options. It all depends on what you need. So that's why I tell folks, always talk to like two people. Talk to a bank, and talk to the credit union. Listen, I tell folks, go to the credit union. So Ollie Green just put in the group chat, no free money. She right. It's absolutely no free money out there. You're always going to be charged. That's the bank makes money by selling you money at the end of the day. So look at different options. Refinance is not always the best way to do it. Sometimes, taking a home equity line of credit out. So, private example, I did a home equity line of credit through Hancock Whitney Bank. Why I shoot in the gym with Hancock Whitney is because they had a promotion going on. They did not charge me any closing costs. And I was like, what's the catch? What's going on? They're like, no, like we have this new product that we're doing and we're running a promotion on it. We're not going to charge you any closing fees if you keep your account open for at least a year. And yeah, there are some rules to it. And then like I had an introductory rate of 4.99%. So like, where can you borrow money at 4.99%? Nowhere. which that's a great rate. And I think I had that for 6 months. And there was a couple different rules that they had, but it just made more sense for me to do a HELOC, right, versus a home equity line of credit versus refinancing. Because I still get the money. I just didn't need all the money at once. So now I have this credit card. I'm getting ready to do another real estate deal now. And so now I have access to this money, and I don't pay interest on that home equity line of credit until I pull the money out of that account. Like I told you, it's almost like a credit card.
Okay. You got a question? Because I got some questions.
Go, because y'all know I'm just listening to learn, like, because I'm still like, you know what I'm saying? Because the money, so basically, like, the money I'm paying is getting somebody else thousands of dollars, possibly.
Absolutely.
Or yeah.
So that I think that was my biggest thing though. Like, if something tears up, like, then now and right now financially making a mortgage payment, I feel like I can do that because I'm paying high rent. But then it's like when something breaks here because I'm renting, hey, y'all need to come fix this. I don't have to worry about paying for it. But now that's a good thing that I know, well, if something breaks, I can, depending on how much equity, hopefully like nothing will break before I can build up that equity, and I can take that to fix it. And it's still staying in the house to make.
I don't think you would take out equity. Like, okay, so for instance, my garbage disposal broke twice now.
Oh, well, you not something that small. I'm talking about
That's
the big
like
stuff.
minor. Like what? Like
I'm like
maybe if you
roofs
had
on the house
yeah,
that's like
just your roof.
$10,000 or whatever. Like the thousand, like major stuff that's broken that cost, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. Or is it something that when I'm paying my mortgage, I can pay extra for that kind of stuff? Like where I
So
can.
it's budgeting. That's the biggest thing. A lot of folks, a lot of folks got issues with budgeting, right? We like to spend. We do. Us as black folk, we like to spend. I'm just gonna tell you how it is, right? We can
Yeah.
go to the club, we can pop bottles, we can get bottle service and sections, and we can go shopping, and we look good, right? But when it comes to like the things that ain't really flashy, we don't tend to like to save for those. So I tell my folks, when you buy a home, you should always have a little cushion on the side. You know how your grandma used to have money underneath the mattress? Whether you put it underneath your mattress, don't put it underneath your mattress. Go put it in the bank. Get a CD where you can draw some interest off of it, right? But a couple of things you talked about. Definitely you should have some savings where you can put away for a rainy day when it comes to your home, to save for like those little items. But any major items, you're gonna have insurance for it. So when you buy a house with myself or any other agent, we're going to do inspections, right? So before you buy that house, I can tell you, hey, you got 10 years of roof life left on that roof. So in 10 years, you're going to need to replace that roof, right? So you got enough time to save up and put some money aside for that roof, right? Now, if a storm comes through and, puts a hole in your roof, that's why you have homeowners insurance, which is going to take care of that roof, hopefully. Depending on your coverage, etc. That's hopefully.
Look, that's another issue with me in East Florida. Like listening to people like talk about how hard it is to get their insurance to pay for stuff, and especially like in Day City with all of the water like in crazy places. So like that's scaring me now. Like water that, like where did that water come from? There's no water in this area. How did it get that high in this area for like water to just be that high? So now it's like, okay, am I gonna have to deal with all that? Like, deal with the insurance company not paying and I'm paying insurance? Like,
and that part goes back to the educational piece, right? Because we have to be more educated. We got to ask questions. That's what it is, right? Because as groups of people, we too prideful to ask for help. Because I get calls a lot of times when it's too late. Because let's talk about the insurance situation, right? I had some folks call me. They had already gotten past the insurance company wrote them a check, etc. They didn't have enough money. And so what we found out is that the insurance company underpaid them. So how do we get around that? If you don't want to fight the insurance company, you can go and get a public adjuster, which they fight the insurance company for you. They're going to come in, they're going to assess the value because yes, you have insurance help you out if you have a natural disaster or something. But at the end of the day, the insurance company wants to pay you out the least amount of money that they can pay you, right? So that's why you have to get a third party vendor involved. And a lot of folks like, hey, I can't afford this public adjuster. Well, guess what? You ain't got to pay them until they recover the money for you, and they're going to take it out of the proceeds from that check from the insurance company.
Oh, so basically like a lawyer, they gonna get their 30 whatever percent in the third, and then
correct. And you know, the good thing about using a public adjuster too is that during like a natural disaster, so when Florida says that it's a state of emergency, they're capped at what they can charge you, and I think it's maybe like 10%. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's like 10% is the maximum they can charge you on the money that they recovered for you.
Okay.
I never knew that, so that's good
And
information.
that's the thing about, you know, having those conversations and asking questions, because folks don't know what they don't know. So that's why I tell folks, yo, if you got any questions, definitely call me. And if I don't know, maybe I can refer you someone else, or we can brainstorm together how we can solve this issue. Because so many times that I'm seeing now is like folks are just throwing their hands up and they're walking away, and I'm like, there are programs and there are products out there that we could have kept you in that home or fix that home for you.
That's good. So okay, so for her, so I see her fear. What is like the average? I know you see some people say you can get in a house with zero down or no closing costs. Like, what is expected to be a deposit that you will have to pay down when buying a house?
Absolutely. So yeah, you definitely gonna need some cash. So you're gonna put down an earnest money deposit. We call it escrow, and that just shows the sellers that, hey, I'm serious about this house. So I always tell folks 1% is what's customary. Everything's negotiable, but like if you're buying a $300,000 house, you need $3,000 to put in escrow. Now, when it comes to total money that you're going to need to purchase that home, that's going to vary on what type of financing you have, how much your closing costs are, and things like that. And that's what the lender can help you with. That's what the bank can help you with. And so you have some loan products out there that will do 100% financing. So you're not putting any money down, right? But you still have closing costs. Because again, what I told y'all, the bank, they sell you money, and that's how they get paid. And like Ollie said in the chat, there's no free money at all. You are going to have some other expenses that you're going to be paying for. So up front, we got to get inspections done. Inspections going to cost you $500, right? Because we don't, at least Realtor Sherman don't sell your house until we do inspections, right? If you want to skip out those inspections, you got to go find another agent, right? We're going to have an appraisal that we have to pay for up front. That's going to be another $500-600. So there are some expenses, but the good thing is the lender can tell you, hey, it's going to be X amount of dollars to close this home.
So should you get a loan, like go get approved for a loan so you'll know, or should I look for a house first?
No, go get that loan approval first. Go get that pre-approval first, so you know how much you can afford and you know what type of financing you can get. We don't show houses if you ain't got a piece of paper. That's a waste of my time and your time.
Okay, and how long does that last? Like, if I get it, like, is it a time frame on it? I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah, so typically that pre-approval is good for, I want to say most pre-approvals is good for 6 months, but you're fine as long as you don't go and do anything where you're spending money and your credit is affected and things like that. You're totally fine.
And then what was the other question I just had? I'll think about it again. I should have wrote it down, but I left my paper.
I always tell you get a piece of paper.
I know, and I
we
had
have
it,
these
and I left it
information
up,
sessions.
And I left it over there, and I feel like getting back up being lazy.
I'm gonna ask the question. So, for your incoming clients, what credit score would you suggest that they have before they even try talking to you? Because you know some people try to play in your face. So, what would you suggest?
Honestly, as high as possible. So there are going to be some folks. Can you buy a house in the 500s? Absolutely, right? You excuse me. You can buy a house with like a 580 credit score with some lenders, but I'm gonna tell you now, to buy a house with a 580 credit score, it's gonna be a hassle. Your interest rate's probably gonna be higher. Your fees are gonna be higher. And it's just that's gonna be a struggle, right? Because I've had some folks that the lender is like, oh, you got a 580, I can get you closed, and then 3 days before closing, they couldn't close. So that's why I tell my folks as high as possible, because the higher your credit score, the better programs you're going to be able to get into, and the bank is going to prefer you to have that higher rate, or I'm sorry, that higher credit score, because if you got good credit, that means you pay your bills back, or you pay your bills on time. You don't have a crazy debt to income ratio. When your credit score is lower, they're looking at you as more of a risk, right? So they're like, hey, let me up this interest rate so we get most of our money up front ahead of time in the interest, just in case they do default. So I always tell folks, if you can be in the 700s, amazing, right? I just closed a deal where we pulled out. So the rate that they gave us was something ridiculous. I was like, no, like, how about this? Let's pull out. I got them linked up with another lender. It was like, oh, you do X, Y, and Z, you can improve your credit score. Okay, that's it. Why didn't the first lender tell us that? So went in, took us maybe like 2 weeks. Credit score went up, the points that were needed, and then we closed with a much lower interest rate. So if you 580, you can close at 580. 620, 650, but I always tell folks, if you can be in the 700s, even if you got to hold off for 6 months and get your credit up, it's worth it.
So I got another question. So I did Habitat.
Mm-hmm.
I did all my hours, did the first time homeowners, blah blah blah, and then I had the lot, and the paper I signed had the full lot on it. But they were in the process of splitting the lot, but the paper I signed had one address.
Okay.
By the time they split the lot, it was a miscommunication some way. I'm not going to, because I really don't know what happened. I feel a certain way, but end up telling me by the time they got it split and started on the side that I approved for, because they asked me which side of the lot when they got it split, and I told them one side. So they started, because when they got it split, something had to be done on my side, but they could start building on the other side first. So they did that, but didn't tell me that I could have got that one instead. So long story short, I did the homeowners program. Can I do it again, since I never used it? Because they wanted me to use, like, go get a regular, what is it, HSA loan or something? And I'm like,
probably.
Okay. And I'm like, why would I get that loan for a Habitat house? The whole point is to get it through y'all, because if I go get that, I might as well go get a house that I really, that I really, really want. Like, I don't. So
Absolutely.
Can I redo? I guess my basic question is, after I did that, can I, since I never actually used the first time homeowners, can I redo that program?
Yeah.
Since I'll be a first time homeowner.
So yeah, you can go back through Habitat. I don't see why that would be an issue, right? If you still wanted to, move forward with Habitat, or you can go towards any of these other first-time home buyer programs. Now with Habitat, from my understanding,
no, I don't even want to go through them no more.
Okay, I was to say it's still a mortgage. It's still a mortgage. You just have I think there's two mortgages. There's like your traditional, and then the other one's like, I want to say through the county at like a 0% interest maybe.
Right.
So you're always gonna have a mortgage no matter who you use. But yeah, you can take as many or as different first-time home buyer classes that you want. There's a new one. There's a new program out right now. It's called the Florida Bond Program. That one now gives you up to like $7,500 towards your closing costs. I believe I need to look up those that new criteria. But every year there's new money put in the pot. Pasco County also has some some first-time home buyer money as well. All your counties are going to have it. It's just going to have different stipulations on what you can use it for and different things that you have to do to be able to qualify for it.
And can you do more than one, or you have to just pick one?
So you can do more than one. It's going to depend on who your lender is. So like here in Hillsborough County, you can do what's called stacking the loan. So let's say East Tampa may have a first-time home buying grant where they'll give you $20,000, right? And then the county may have a program where they'll give you $20,000. And then Bank of America or Wells Fargo or one of these banks, they may have a first-time home buyer grant as well. And they may allow you to stack all of those up. So if each of them are giving you $20,000 each, that's 60 grand that you've been able to get, right? And then you may have some other programs. So like, yes, you can stack them, but it depends on the program, because all the programs are going to have rules and regulations on, hey, you can stack or you cannot stack and things like that.
Okay. And by your doing this for so long, what county that you work with is like, would you say is the best with offering programs? Because I know we a smaller county here in Pasco, so it's Hillsborough or
Yeah, I mean,
area.
Pasco, there are programs in Pasco, but I do feel that, Tampa, whether it's City of Tampa itself or Hillsborough County, they do seem that they have more programs for the folks. But you also got to realize that houses are much more expensive here in Tampa than in Dade City. I can get you, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Dade City for $280,000. That same, 3-2 here in Tampa, that's pushing between 4 and 450 easily, So that's why I think there's more programs here in Hillsborough than we do have in Pasco.
Okay.
So, with that being said, too, buying a new house versus an old house, and because the new houses seem to come with more incentive, more. They gave me way more with the new house than I could have gotten with the old house. So, what's the pros and cons of buying a new and old? Well, I know. I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, the pros and cons of buying new and old is the neighborhood is one, the land size too, and the house. It seems like the houses are not as sturdy. So that's for me. But you tell everybody your pros.
Absolutely. Listen, the reason why you're able to get all those incentives is because these developers, they money long at the end of the day. They got money to throw. No, it's true. And so because they're in the volume game, right? They're pushing out 300 homes in that community. So yes, they can give out incentives. Pros and cons. So the good thing about new construction is that you get a brand new house, right? Ain't nobody lived in there, ain't nobody smoked in there, etc. Brand new home, you have a warranty, you have a couple different warranties. Downside, and trust me, I sell a lot of new construction homes, and not all builders are created equal. I'll tell you that. There's some builders that I'm like, no, I shouldn't even show you this because of X, Y, and Z. The cons, let's see, we talked about the pros, we talked about, okay, so the cons of, new construction is, yes, homes today are built differently than they were, in the 60s and the 70s. When it comes to the building materials. Now, these newer homes, yes, they're up to hurricane code, etc. But like if you look at Grandma House been surviving hurricanes since the 60s, right? Now we're looking at these new homes that, hey, hurricane came through and they done messed the house up. So I can say that the building, I won't say the materials have changed. That's what I'll say. Also, the cons to new communities, you spend a lot of money because you're going to most likely have a CDD in that community. You're going to have an HOA. We get so busy talking about we don't want to go live, in the hood, right? Oh, I don't want to go live in the hood. Yo, it ain't the hood. We gotta go in our own communities and we gotta clean it up. Because if we wait for somebody else to clean it up, then we want to holler gentrification. Oh, they come through the neighborhood, they over here gentrifying it. Well, guess what? Guess what, Margaret? You sold Grandma House. Issue. That's the problem, right?
We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
When they do it. So, like, prime example, When you look at our real estate, when we look at the homes that grandma and granddad and them own, those are some of the most well-built homes in some of the higher ground in some of the areas, right? They typically don't flood. They were built sturdy. Our issues, we're just getting too fancy. We get too fancy. We don't want to move back across the tracks because of X, Y, and Z. You know how you solve the drug problem? You move in that community and you solve it yourself. You call the police, you call the cops, you go in there and you have community cleanup day where you go on the side of the road and you pick up that trash. We have to fix our own communities because what's happening is other folks are coming in, buying in the area, buying in our communities. You know why? Because it's the cheapest price point, right? They come in, they redo the floors, they put a new roof on there, they paint. And now that house that they bought for $80,000, they gonna resell it to us for $300 because we don't want to do the work. We want somebody else to do the work. But it also goes back to education, right? Because again, a lot of us, we can't afford to keep grandmother's house because it needs a new roof or it needs this. And I can go down a whole rabbit hole of that, right? But once we're educated, once we start asking those questions and let folks know, hey, I ain't got that money to fix it up. That's when you call me and I'm going to teach you how to fix it up. I'm going to show you how we go and find that money to fix up and keep grandmother's house versus you selling it for pennies on the dollars. And it's okay to sell grandmother's house, but don't sell it for pennies on a dollar. If you don't sell it, I want you to fix it up. And then I want you to make the most money possible. And then I want you to take that money and roll it over into something else. We're going to reinvest that money. We're not going to go buy a luxury car and we're not going to go buy designer items.
So is it cheaper to buy a older home, or is it more expensive to buy, like far as insurance and all of that, compared to the newer homes?
So newer homes, yes, you typically have lower insurance on those newer homes. Your insurance is typically lower. But at the end of the day, when you buy one of those older homes, you're going to get it at a much lower rate. So your monthly expenses are going to be lower. So therefore, you can pay a couple extra dollars when it comes to your insurance, because most likely grandma house ain't got an HOA, grandma house ain't got no CDD. Grandma house is most likely going to be at a lower price point, and so therefore, out of pocket and our monthly expenses is going to be much lower. We just don't want to do it because we're too fancy now.
And then what's the difference in because I don't, well, tell me if this is true, because somebody was telling me and I can't even remember. Townhouses and single family houses. Something about, I guess, like if everybody starts selling the townhouse, then I would have to sell mine too. It's like, how is that? I don't even really remember how. I
have to understand that context from that. No, so you're owner, you own that townhome. Now, folks, I like townhomes because you ain't got to maintain nothing. You ain't got to worry about the roof. You ain't got to worry about the exterior paint. You ain't even got to move the grass. That's included in your monthly HOA fees, right? Now, if everyone sells, no, you don't have to sell. If you want to stay there, sorry. If you want to stay, absolutely, you're fine.
Okay.
I mean,
they were just saying that, like, it's almost like, you know how they moving these, selling houses to build streets or whatever, and like everybody kind of like, and then you be the one person that's staying. So it's like, I don't know, I guess they thinking because it was like a whole, like it's one building and you just in the middle or you on the end and everybody else around you want to sell, like then what's going to happen? Because that was my other thing, like, do I want a house or should I start off like with a condo instead? Because that's my thing, like the maintenance and, you know, paying somebody to, I mean, if I'm about to pay somebody, I'm almost feeling like, should it just be included so I don't even think about those, you know, I just get it all out. And then, so that was my other thought process, getting a condo first. And then it was too, because I'm not sure if I really want to buy a rent. So I feel like if I had the condo, that'll give me a chance. And if I don't, I can always, you know, I mean, I can rent the house out too, but I think it's a lot of people now are going to that because of the maintenance part of it. So it
Yeah,
may
there's pros and cons to it. Absolutely. The good thing with condos and townhomes is yes, you don't have to maintain anything. You have a board, you have a homeowners association or a condo board that handles all that for you, and a management company. I will say though, HOA fees, they're going to go up. They're never going to go down. So like my condo that I'm in, HOA fees have gone up every single year that I've
just
been.
like an apartment.
Yes, and so I mean, as a homeowner, right? Everything's going to go up as well, because every year your homeowner's insurance may go up. The cost of you to maintain that house is going to go up. Like, so back in the day when I first started selling real estate, you can get a brand new roof put on a house, let's say $5,000. That same roof today, is probably $12,000. So everything is going to go up. It's just all about budgeting. I see Kiana said condo fees in Florida are super high right now. Absolutely, they are very high. And it's just because everything else is going up high. Insurance being one of them when it comes to condos. And I tell folks right now, because of the new condo laws that went into place after the Surfside condo collapse in Miami, Florida legislation got together. They passed a lot of condo laws like overnight, right? They didn't think those condo laws through. And so now we see a lot of condominiums struggling because they have different reports and different milestone inspections they have to do by a certain time. Therefore, they're hitting, their owners with assessment fees, right? And these assessment fees, I've seen that most expensive assessment fee I've seen was $60,000. So like, if I own a condo here and I got an assessment fee for 60 grand, what do I do?
Wow.
You're out of luck. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to townhomes and condos. Your fees are most likely going to go up. And there's pros and cons to that versus single family.
But you would suggest a single family, or that'll be depending on.
It depends on the person. Like here in Ybor, I have a condo. I ain't got to do nothing. Well, I do got to do stuff because I sit on the HOA board. So I'm essentially doing it myself. But everything is included in that monthly fee. Like I ain't got to take out my trash. I don't have to paint the building. The roof is taken care of. The lawn care is taken care of and things like that. Water bills taken care of. And different HOAs cover different things. So like some of your HOAs, they'll cover your internet, and your cable. You may have amenities in that condo community. You may have a gym. You may have a pool and things like that.
So since you live like, just say for instance, like, because I know now I had the landlord come here like 12 o'clock one night because I had a tiny hole in my shower, and evidently the water started some kind of way dripping into the other people's. I didn't even think it could get in there, but dripping downstairs. So they had to come fill the hole in mine to keep. So if something happens in your condo, like your neighbor, something overflows and it runs to yours, do you have to fix it, or is that?
So inside the walls is your problem. And I've had that twice, right? So I had the neighbor above me, a pipe burst on the exterior of the unit, and it flooded the back of my condo. So I had to deal with that. So I had to call my insurance company, file an insurance claim, and I had a water claim on it. Now, my deductible, I didn't have to pay much out of pocket, but that did go against my insurance.
Even though it was like it's the buildings. Oh,
yeah. And then the following year, the neighbor next door to me, his pipe burst, and the water came in from his unit. It came in to the side of my unit. So that time, I called the insurance company again. They're like, "Yo, we can file this claim, Sherman. They'll pay you out, but like they're gonna drop you next year." So luckily, me being in the industry, I have contractor friends. And I think they didn't charge me much. They came in, they ripped out, because I had hardwood floors at that time. They came and they ripped out everything, and I was out of my place for a couple of days. But they took care of everything. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. Could I have gone through insurance? Absolutely. But me knowing how tough it is to get homeowners insurance in Florida, I was like, let me just take care of that myself out of pocket.
Welcome, Bishop.
All God's people.
How's it going?
How you doing, boss man?
Doing well.
Visiting the sick and shit, man.
God
Uh,
is good.
so I don't want to lose this question. So she was asking about renting condos, townhouses, single family homes. Um, and then so if just say because I don't really understand what's the difference between a condo and a townhouse. Are they not the same?
So typically a townhouse,
Oh, that's a good question.
it could be 2 stories. It could be 3 stories. You typically don't have anyone above you, so you own from bottom all the way up. Now, a condo, you can have multiple levels to a condo. You typically own one level. So when you see, so let's see, so in Dade City, your first townhome community was called, I don't know, but it's over by the middle school and the high school. They have the colorful doors, and so those are considered
Oh, across
townhomes.
from the what a Kingdom Hall used to be.
Yes, right across
Oh,
there.
okay.
Your townhome is up and down. No one's above you, no one's below you. You own it all. So you own that first floor and that second floor. A condo, you may have 20 units in one building, 4 stories high. You just own that individual unit.
Like an
And you're gonna have
apartment.
folks above you, you're gonna have people below you.
So it's basically like an apartment that you just own an apartment.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. You own an apartment.
Hmm. So town is the price different in between a condo and a townhouse?
Your condos typically are cheaper, lower price point, but your HOA fees tend to
Right.
be much higher for a condo.
Okay,
So
that's good
basically,
to know.
everything has an HOA fee, except for like the older neighborhoods or like.
Grandma house ain't got no HOA fee. Or CDD fee.
So like the older neighborhoods and what we consider the hood, um, no HOA fees, but everywhere else. Now potentially, if they haven't had an HOA fee, is that something like they can go in and try to establish?
I mean, it's possible, but no one's gonna want to go in and establish an HOA because nobody. If you've lived without an HOA, you really don't want folks coming in and telling you what you can and what you can't do. I tell folks HOAs, they are good and bad. Like, listen, if you don't want to live next door to Sanford and Son, go move to a HOA. Because if you don't, like if you do, then that's okay. That's a good conversation, right? Yeah, you can go buy grandma house. You can move into grandma house, but Mr. Joe next door got a broke down car in the front yard. He got a washing machine out there. So there's pros and cons to living in an HOA versus a non-HOA.
And that makes your property or your house value go down when the neighborhood look like that. Is that really?
Absolutely. But you know how you fix that? You pick up the phone and you be a snitch, right? We got this like mentality, like we don't snitch. No, like you're affecting my value of my home. So I'm calling code enforcement. I'm calling code enforcement because that's a safety hazard. I sold the house to this family. And I explained to them, I was like, listen, Linda, I want y'all to see these pictures because the inspector is the one who brought it to my attention. He was like, yo, Sherman, I was up checking out the roof. I got to show you these photos of the neighbors next door. And so what happened was, I think the sellers of the house told the neighbor was like, hey, can you put that stuff in the backyard? So I'm trying to sell my house because it was all in the backyard. But listen, once we close on that house, they brought everything to the front. I kid you not. I went over again to the house. They had a washing machine in the front yard. They had a refrigerator, a couple of lawnmowers, and a tent, like a camping tent. It was just chaos. And my folks were like, sure. I'm like, what do we do? I said, you pick up the phone and you call code enforcement. That's what you do. Well, we don't want to be snitches. Okay, we'll deal with it if you don't want to be a snitch.
Dang.
Because it's hurting you. Okay.
It is. It's hurting your value. And you got to see that nonsense every morning when you leave and in the evening when you come back.
And I have a question because my preference has always been if I ever stay in, if I get a house, I want a corner lot. I don't ever want to be in the middle. Are the corner lots more expensive or cheaper?
They cost more money. because you want to be fancy, you want to be on the corner, so they're gonna charge you more. Stop being fancy.
I know, but I'm saying like for that reason, I don't want to work out my door and have to see all that on both sides of me. I rather if I'm gonna see it just one.
Listen,
And it's more. And to me, especially in these new developments where like the houses are like this, they don't have no yard. At least if I had a corner, I have a little extra yard.
And that's why you're gonna pay a little extra money.
Okay.
And it ain't a little extra money. I'm gonna tell her now. I'm gonna tell you from experience that I know he gotta keep it a little PG because he professional and he don't want to mess up his his business. But I got the same house as somebody else who got a bigger lot, the same as that house. My house is way cheaper than theirs, and again, I don't care. Like we got HOA, so it ain't like you finna mess it up. Put up a fence. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what happened. So my sedity neighbors decided that at first they wasn't gonna get a fence. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then they decided they want the fence. So then the lady was like, oh, well, we gonna get a fence. And I was like, okay, well, send me the information. Well, she decided she just want to put up her fence. And then the other neighbor put up her fence. And I was like, oh, cool. Y'all did me a favor. So now I gotta put up no fence. So I don't have to see y'all and I didn't even have to pay for it. And I literally got just about the same house as everybody else or some of the people. But because I didn't get a corner lot or get one of the bigger lots with like the extension or whatever, it's drastic. Like it was a big deal. The difference in the price.
Well, the older, I mean, let me not. I have to keep this. I can't unfilter this one. But yeah, as the years go by, it started not to be a big deal. It was a big deal for parking purposes. Let's just put it in those kind of nice parking purposes. But now the parking, I don't really care about the parking purposes. So yeah. But that was my major reason for it. Like I needed enough parking spaces.
Yeah, but you go back to where we were living back in the day. You got a lot of yard over there, and that's what I tell folks. The thing is, I go back. I really advocate for us to go back to, because listen, back in the day, the bank would only give us money to live in certain neighborhoods, right? And we moved out when we could. And so let's talk Lacucci, for example. Let's talk about Lacucci. Now, if I were to come back to Pasco County, I would move to Lacucci, right? And a lot of people talk trash about, like Lacucci's this, Lacucci's that. But guess what? The price point that I can get in and purchase a home there, because at the end of the day, it's about creating wealth. You need housing no matter what. But if I can get in at a low price point, right, build up some equity in that house in Lacucci, and then take that equity out and move on to the next one while I maintain that original house that I bought, I've already went in. I've cleaned up the community while I was living there, right? We're changing that community. So often we just forget about our communities and leave them to be destroyed. And then someone else comes in, they clean it up, and they triple the price. And then we get upset about it.
Yeah. And I just know, like, now that I'm talking to you, like, I'm kind of getting back in that little mood I was in. I wish I would have contacted you for help for the house, to see what I could have done for that house.
And the biggest thing, there's two things that stop us from buying homes. Credit is number one, and then that debt to income ratio, right? I tell folks, hey, I can go find you the money. But if your credit is bad, we got to work on that. And so a lot of my first time home buyers, we have to go on a plan. And listen, I'm going to get you partnered up with one of my people that's going to do the work. And if you don't do the work, they're going to throw their hands up. And same with me. Like, I lead you there, and it's up to my buyers to do the work. But a lot of them, they don't want to be uncomfortable for a short period of time. And that's our people. That's what I really struggle with explaining to them. It's like, yo, this is what we got. This is what we got to do to get you into home. But it's that short term, the short term things that a lot of my folks, they don't want to do. They don't want to stop going to. I'm like, listen, how much? Send me your bank account. Okay, so you went to the club twice last month. You spent X amount of dollars, and when we do that over a year period, you see how much money you saved. Let's look at that Starbucks. Let's look at the eating out. It's small, but it adds up over time. And all you need is a couple dollars to save for your down payment, or to let's go pay off this item in collections. It's all about education, but credit and debt to income ratio, that's the number one and number two things I see that keeps people from being able to purchase a home.
Can you explain that? Some people don't understand debt to income ratio. Explain that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So debt to income ratio, it's how much money you bringing in and how much money you spending out, right? You can't be spending more than you bringing in, for one. And it can't be, 50-50. You have to be saving money. So they're going to look at your monthly expenses. So how much are you paying for your car note? How much are you paying in your student loans? How much are you paying in your credit card bills and things like that? That's what's going to be calculating your debt to income ratio. And the higher your debts are, the worse. So if you're making, let's say you're bringing in $10,000 a month, you don't want to be spending out $10,000 a month, because you should, on average, you want to be in that 30% range for how much you're spending on housing. So if you make 10 grand a month, you should be spending no more than $3,000 a month on housing. Now, can you go higher than that? Will the bank lend you more? Absolutely. But to be comfortable, it needs to be around that 30%.
Okay. I have a question, but it's 9:00, so let's recap. For everybody that's just joining us, for everybody that's coming on, we are talking to Mr. Sherman Milton III, the real estate advisor. They call him the real estate guru. We are talking about renting versus buying, getting very important information, key information on how to obtain a house, how to maintain your finances, how to get into a home, the difference between what we
Condos and townhouses.
Condos and townhouses, and home equity, and what would you call it? What is the HELOCs? Say it again.
Home equity line of credit.
Okay. He's given us very important facts on home ownership, or if you want to just rent. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for listening, and we are going to continue. So before I went there, my thing was it was the homestead. So that's what I haven't homesteaded.
All right, get off this line right now and go file out your homestead.
I don't even know how to. So
what county do you live in?
Hillsborough.
Okay, so you're gonna go to the Hillsborough County. Go to Google Hillsborough County Property Appraiser website, and you're gonna go on there and you're gonna file for homestead. So homestead's gonna do a couple things to you, and this is where folks forget to file this. But that following year, when your taxes go up, then you're gonna be complaining and asking, "Oh, why did my taxes go up?" It's because you didn't file your homestead. That's why. So homestead is going to cap what the county can increase your property taxes every single year. So they're going to put a cap on it, because when you don't have homestead, they can go up. But I want to say the cap right now is like 3% maximum that they can increase you if you have homestead, right? Homestead exemption is also going to save your property. It's going to protect your property for anything because you filed for homestead. So prime example, you go out, you do something, you get sued. You have a lawsuit on your hand. They can't come after your house because that's your homestead, right? For example, let's say you file for bankruptcy, right? file for bankruptcy, the bank comes in and take everything. They cannot kick you out of that house because that's your homestead property. It's protected because you filed for homestead. Now, when you don't have homestead, that's when it's not protected if it's in your personal name. So file or your property taxes will increase a lot.
Well, now that you just mentioned that, that's another question I just thought of. Because I be watching, like, scrolling on Facebook and how they are saying, like, telling people to go buy houses um with their business and use their EIN as their social. Is that like how does that work?
That's possible, but I tell folks because people listen. The people that want to do that, right? Them be the same ones that ain't got no credit. And I tell them like, if you ain't got no credit, I know you don't have your business stuff lined up. So yes, you can buy, and because I have some lenders that they will not sell to you in your personal name. They will only sell to you in your LLC. So yes, you can buy a home in your LLC, but that's going to be an investment property, right? And so investment properties require more money down. Typically, they want 20% down, a 20% down payment, and then that you can do the investor loan. And what's good about these investor loans, some of my investors like them because the bank don't ask them for any proof that they can afford the house. The bank only care, can you put 20% down and will the tenant be able to pay our mortgage? So they're going to do like a rent study in that area and see, all right, so this house will rent out for $3,000 a month. Your mortgage is $2,500 a month. So yeah, we're going to lend you that money on it because guess what? If you do default on that loan and they have to take it back, you already put 20% down. So the bank is already winning if they have to take that house back. So yes, you can buy a home in an LLC. That is a thing. And all of my investors, that's how they buy their homes is they buy them through their LLC.
I'm just writing down because I didn't know that either.
Yes, and so the reason why I would recommend LLCs is because like it's I want to say it's easier, but it's not. But yeah, it's easier, but you just put more money down.
And before I forget this question, what is a way, because I see this like going trending now, where people are being able to take people's houses like by something simple. That's another thing that's scaring me. How is that prevented? Like, how do you I guess something where they can sign it and go in there and then night the police is called and I don't know if y'all seen that. Like, and now
So what I have seen, so like there's some we've been seeing that a lot with vacant land, but they put some security measures in place where essentially I can sell your house and kind of get away with it. And the reason why is because I'm going to pretend to be an out of state buyer. I'm going to find a real estate agent that is hungry and willing to do whatever because they're not going to know. And then I'm going to get someone in my town to notarize it. And so it's going to be fake documentation. But when I get my money, I jet off. And nothing can really be done about that because once that wire is sent, I think they call it like deed fraud. We've been seeing a lot of that in Florida, but I mean, Florida's known for fraud. We scam everything. And so what you can do now, you can sign up for a system through your property appraiser's website. So anytime there's like a new deed filed or anything, you will get an alert. So you would know because it'll send you a message right away.
yeah, that they file it. Yeah, that's what they were saying. And I'm like, oh, that's something else that's scaring me because, like, you know, the fact that I'm nervous about doing it. Then if I decide to do it, and then somebody can just come in that easily and take it, like, yeah.
Well,
Scare
can
money
they
don't make
take it if it's not legal? If it's
yes, but you can fight it as well.
But that's money. That's more money, like to try
But
to.
the percentage of that's happening is very small.
Oh, okay.
But you know what also is money? Paying that landlord every month.
You ain't gotta put me on blast, Sherman. It sure is, and the rent going up. Jesus.
Yes.
so basically for all of the scary people out there or the people who are not so sure, it's now, because I hear sometimes people say, because I bought my house, but I had no choice. But some people say, well, I'll wait until to see what the market is going to do, or I'll wait till next year. Is now a good time to buy?
Is now a good time to rent? That's what I ask, you know? It all depends, honestly. So for folks that are standing on the fence, listen, I've been slaying houses lately where we've been able to get some great deals. Now, is their interest rate higher? Yes, it is higher. Are interest rates going to go down in a year? We don't know. So it's a risk that you're going to take. But even if, let's say next year interest rates go down to 5%, right? You know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to want to buy a house then. And so price points are going to go up. So that's something to think about. Yes, you can hold off and you can wait for the market to get better, quote unquote, as people call it. But if we do wait and interest rates go down, then you're going to have more people that you're going to be competing against, right? As of right now, homes are sitting on the market for much longer than they have been traditionally, this year and last year. So that tells me that I can go into that seller and ask that seller for a couple dollars. Be like, yo, either can you reduce that price or can you help us pay our closing costs because your house been on the market for 6 months? Are they going to do it? Most likely, yes, because they want to sell their home. And there's not a lot of buyers out in the market right now.
Does that go for new construction too, or just?
Yes and no. You can play with new construction if you watch and see how long they've had something on the market. I did a villa recently for quite some time. And they gave us some great incentives.
But yeah, maybe I need to come talk to you so I can at least start the process and see what I got to do.
Absolutely. I'll get you right, and I'll leave you at that. If you decide that you want to do it, I'm gonna treat you like I treat the rest of my customers. I'm gonna lead you. And
that's another thing I gotta figure out where I went, because I know once I do that, like that's that mean I got to stay put for a while.
Yes. So once you buy a house, we don't sell that house in the following year because you will lose money. Because if I sell that house to you and you call me to sell it for you, I'm still charging you again. So that's something that you got to keep in mind, your fees that you're going to be paying once you sell that house.
So what's a good time? I mean, once I get in there, hopefully I ain't trying. That's not my thing to move either. That's another thing.
Something's not right.
Like what's in
a few minutes. You can try.
I guess like a good time frame.
You can also try unplugging your device and plugging it back in.
Sorry, my Alexa's back there talking.
Oh.
I think so.
Hey, Alexa.
Don't do that. So you asked about the time frame in the house. It all depends. It all depends on life moments, right? So a lot of my customers now, we're working on their second home, but I help them buy their first home. And so they all stayed there between 3 and 5 years. Because this was their first home, and now their family's growing. They're having kids, so now they need larger homes. And so it just depends on where you're at in life, right? Because you may say, hey, I'm going to retire in X amount of years, and then I'm going to move, or hey, like I'm going to downsize in a couple of years. It all varies on how long you're going to stay in the home. And I got some people that, I've been selling for 9 years now. I sold them a house and they're still in that house.
I have a question. We were talking about the investment properties. And I know that you can buy one in LLC, but you can't live like when you buy an investment property, you can't live there, right?
You can do whatever you want to do, but your mortgage docs are going to say one thing. Typically, you cannot live there per the agreement that you sign with the bank, because most of the time they're going to require you to sign something that states that this is going to be an investment property. You will not live here, and you will not rent this to any like relatives, like meaning like your kids or anything like that.
So then what is it? So it's an investment like to just fix it up and rent it out to strangers or like,
Correct. Yes.
oh, got you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Got ask why? Or you?
I don't know the rationale behind it, but it's probably because something's happened in the past. Because if you rent to immediate family, the chances of them not paying their rent are probably going to be higher, and you allowing them to stay versus you renting it to a stranger. Because when that stranger don't pay, you probably just go and kick them out, and start that eviction process, right? So you can get a new tenant in there. But I'm not sure of the rationale behind it.
So that's something else to think about. Or to know, I should say. Hmm.
But it's better to buy your house first because like I said when we were talking earlier about taking the equity, and I'm not finna do anything. Like I said, they just send me stuff. I'm not. But if in the future, because I bought my house, is like I could go do that. I can take out the equity and buy an investment property.
Yeah, you can do that, but so there's a couple different ways you can do it, right? And folks, I think you were going to ask if it's best to buy your own home first before an investment property. I got a friend that he rents, but all him and his wife does is buy investment properties, fix them up, and then rent them out, right? It all depends on what your investment strategy is, and how you want to build that wealth, through real estate. And that's something that an advisor can help you with, or a mentor or something like that. I have another friend. What they do is they move every few years, right? So they'll buy a house, they'll put some sweat equity into it, meaning they'll buy a house that needs some cosmetic work. Maybe it needs a new kitchen, new floors, new bathroom. They'll buy it using a traditional loan, and because they're owner occupants, they don't have to put that 20% down. They get to go on with a low down payment. They'll move in, fix up that home, stay in it a year or two, move out, do the same thing for another property. Now they're going to rent out that first one, and then do that to that next home, and then move to the next home and the next home. And the way they're able to do that is because they're buying these homes that needs some TLC, right? They need a little work. They need someone to come in and have that vision and not be afraid to get dirty by putting in new flooring throughout the house. Or let me go ahead and redo this bathroom. Or hey, this house, it needs a new roof, right? We got to be willing to do as an investor, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about how much money you make on your investment. It's not about looking fancy and flashy, for those first 10 years. It's about, creating as much wealth as you can, and you just keep moving that money. I've learned so much from investors since I've been in the game on how they do it and how they're able to scale it up and just create that wealth just through real estate.
Yeah.
And it's not always pretty.
So with your and this is a question because we talked about this a couple of weeks ago with the insurance. Do you advise your clients that when they're buying a house to take out the insurance? I don't know what it's called, but it's like if something happens, like the house is automatically paid off.
I've heard of that before. I think that's old school. I think grandma and them used to do that stuff. Um, so you can still get insurance, but there's different ways that you can do it. There's different policies. Sorry, my light went off. I was trying to get it back on. There's different policies out there. You could do like a term policy that you can do a 30-year term, or you can do you can break it up and do a couple different years. Or you can do like an index life universal policy where you have the insurance policy in the event that something were to happen to you, then your family can take that money and pay off that mortgage if they want, or they can sell it, etc. But with that index universal life, I think is what it's called. It's also like an investment account. So you're going to have some money stashed away in the cash value side where you can pull money out of it if you want to and borrow against that. So yeah, some folks will do insurance, get like insurance policies on it, but not a lot. I don't see a lot of folks doing that just because they already have their own insurance policy that if something were to happen, that it would be able to, you know, keep the family afloat for X amount. They can pay the mortgage, or they can sell that house if they want to. But like, I think back in the day, there was like a policy that was in place that was strictly for real estate, for the home. If something were to happen, which I can't necessarily recommend that because there's other options now.
That's what's up. I
So
think that's all the questions I had that I could think of at the moment.
anybody got any? No, nobody got. Y'all don't got no more questions? Is there anything we didn't ask that we should have asked?
You know, I think the biggest thing is to get in the game, right? Anybody who's thinking about buying real estate, I think the first step is just starting that process to see what you can get pre-approved for, and then go from there. And again, I tell folks, like, your first home, it ain't got to be fancy. Yo, when I bought my condo, I bought the raggediest condo in my building. When I tell you, I'm dead serious. I bought the raggediest condo in my building. Closed in November. It was right before Thanksgiving. And I went on vacation, and I met the contractor the day before. Here's the keys. This is what I want you to do. We ripped my condo apart. And when I came back, I had a new condo, right? And then I went down to Famous Tate. I went and got me some stainless steel appliances on clearance, right? Because I got a big dent in the back of my refrigerator, right? And then my stove and my range don't match. It's the same brand, right? But it was part of different sets. So like, I got, you know, an $8,000 kitchen setup, you know, with appliances. I think I spent like $3,500. And it mainly because that refrigerator, it got a big dent in the back. Well, guess what? I was like, yo, when I had my kitchen redone, the cabinets that I had, it has a cubby space that the refrigerator goes into, right? So I tell folks, your first house, it ain't got to be the Taj Mahal. Buy something to get started, and then fix it up, put some sweat equity into it over time. And then when it's time, you can move out and rent it, or you can sell it. Like right now, I got about $90,000 equity in my condo that I bought for 4 years ago. November will be my 5th year. So tell me where in 5 years you can make $90,000, right? Off of, let me do the math. I'm going to tell you how much that investment was. Let's round it up to 8K. So I invested about $11,000, right? So when I, plus, you know, what I did. So let's 11 grand plus, I think I spent, this was back in the day. This was before pandemic. I'm going to say I spent another 18, 11 plus 18. All right, I invested about $29,000 between my renovations, my closing cost, and my down payment for my condo. 5 years ago, I invested $29,000, and I've made $90,000 so far. You know, so that's why I tell folks, don't be fancy. Again, when I bought this place, it was raggedy. There was an investor owned it. He had tenants. They had bad kids, and they smoked. The blinds were tore up. I had white appliances. It was rough, but I came in and I was like, I'm not going to be fancy. I'm going to take it piece by piece and do whatever I can do. I did everything except for the floors because I could not afford to do all new floors in the condo at that time. So I kept the old hardwood floors. I couldn't even afford to redo the entire bathroom. So what I did is I kept the shower, I kept the tub. I had them give me a new toilet, 2 new toilets, which were $100 each from Lowe's. And then I got some fancy tile. And the only reason why I balled out on the tile is because it was such a small space. And then I was like, yo, find me the cheapest quartz countertops that you can find. And then for the kitchen, and whatever is left over, we're going to have those cut, and I'm going to have you do those in both of my bathrooms, right? So it's those things, thinking outside the box and doing it to save money, but also hold value and look good at the same time. And what I had to do when I redid my floors finally, again, I went to the store, what's on clearance? And that's how I chose my flooring. Do I love my flooring? Absolutely not. But it's all tile floors, and it looks great. It's not my taste, but it matches. It goes well, and I got it for a steal. So that's something else that's just adding value to my home.
Oh, something to think about, for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely a lot of moving pieces, but the first step is just to start, to be quite honest. Stop being scared. Anybody on here watching, don't be scared. Scared money don't make money, because you're going to spend it out in housing no matter what.
You're right about that.
A lot of it into, I think a lot of fear with people is discipline. They're not financially disciplined, and they don't know how to be. So it's like, I can do this because I have no other responsibilities, but if I go here, then I know I'm gonna have to be responsible over here. So I think that's a lot of fear too. So for those of y'all watching, like you said, scared money don't make money, but don't be afraid, because at the end of the day, you renting, you giving the money to somebody, and it ain't you. So I rather you put it, like, I would rather put it back into my pocket, or put it back to something that's gonna help me, as opposed to making somebody else rich or helping them. Like you say, even if you're renting their house, you paying their mortgage. They still got a house at the end of the day. They can put you out and it's still their house. So that's my
Absolutely.
take on it.
The first step, I mean, it's easy. Make a budget. That's the number one step for folks that say, hey, I can't afford to buy a house. Make a budget. Take your last 2 months of bank statements and figure out, what have you been spending money on? Oh, I only spent, $30 going out. No, you didn't. You ate out 4 times last week, Margaret. That's more than $30. So when you do the math, that makes up. So now that you have a home, you got to make those sacrifices, and maybe you need to cook. It's healthier anyways, once you cook at home, and now you ain't got to pay that copay to go to the emergency room, because now you're not eating out, you eat home. So I just found you $200 right there.
Yep.
And we eat out a lot.
Yeah, we do. We really do. We eat out a lot.
We eat out a lot.
Look, I'm trying to go find the banana pudding he had right now to eat out of. Listen, I'm about to hold off on the banana pudding so I get me a house. Ain't that something?
Hey, listen, that banana pudding ain't cheap. It's like $8 for a tub. I'm like, I was eating that 3 times a week. That's $24, right? That I can put that $24 in my investment account, my brokerage account, and make a couple dollars on it, right? Let me go get some banana stock, some Chiquita banana stock or something.
Let me ask you a question. So, I know when you're renting, you have to have 3 times the rent. Is that the same for buying? Like,
no, it's going to be your debt to income ratio. And listen, let me tell y'all, folks that's watching. Now, I know some of y'all be out here lying. Like, I didn't know there was this whole thing where people were getting fake check stubs. And so I started helping some of my customers with their investment properties. So there's companies out there where you can buy a fake check stub, and they'll draft it up that shows that you make 3 times the income, right? Which, if you can make 3 times the income of your rent, you can buy a house. You can buy a house. You can afford to buy a house, what I tell folks. And if you don't have the down payment money, there's programs out there. So again, no, you don't have to have the 3 times amount to buy a home. They're going to look at your debt to income ratio. So they may tell you can only afford a house for $200,000, but if you want to be able to afford something more, you got to ask them why. And they'll tell you why. Well, your car payment is $800, and you got, student loans, you got all these credit card bills. So there's ways around it. I tell folks, so like, let's go ahead and see what we can do about that car. Maybe you have to sell that car and go get you a clunker, for 6 months. But it's making those sacrifices that's the hardest for our folks. They don't want to make those sacrifices because listen, we want to drive clean and we want to look good, but sometimes listen, when I first got in real estate, I drove my little raggedy black Nissan Altima until it didn't drive no more, right? Because there were certain things that I wanted to accomplish, and there's certain things that I wanted to do. And even when I did go buy a nice car, I went and got me a certified pre-owned, right? That my payment, my payment on that car, I think was like $280 when I bought my Lexus, right? And that's because I bought it certified pre-owned. I had a couple dollars that I did put down on it, but it wasn't anything fancy or lavish. It's about me. All right, cool. This is what I want to do. Let me figure out how I'm going to do it that makes sense economically. Because I could have went and bought a brand new one and been flashy, but that wasn't it. And I didn't even buy the car because I wanted to be flashy. I liked the car and it was reliable. And I bought that car with 20,000 miles on it. And today I got 183,000 miles on it, right? And I'm gonna ride that bad boy till I don't ride no more, because I am working on some new projects where like I can't afford to go and get one of these new car loans and spend out that money monthly. So that's what we got to be willing to do. Be a little uncomfortable for a bit.
Change your mindset, change your mind, change your life. So again, so to recap, is you didn't say it was better, but it is better if when we're looking for something to go into the neighborhood which we came from, because it helps. Now I'm asking you a question. So say you have a client and they're pre-approved for like 200 some thousand, and they want to do, because I don't know how that works. So they want to go get a fixer upper. Um, does it get fixed? Like, how does the money work? So if they're only paying like the house is probably like 100,000 and they have the rest to fix it up, how does that work?
Absolutely. So there's a couple different
You
loan
just asked
products
the
out
question
there.
I was going to ask.
There's a couple different loan products out there. For someone like that, they will need to use it's an FHA 203. I want to say it's called a 203K B loan or something like that, but it's a renovation loan essentially. And the bank is going to give you that money. So the bank is going to come in. You're going to have to hire a consultant that's going to help you with this. They're going to see, all right, so you're buying this house. You're going to buy it for 100,000, right? It needs a new roof. You got to redo the plumbing. It needs an AC, and we got to do some cosmetic stuff in there. That itself is going to cost $100,000 total, right? So the purchase price of the home plus your renovations, we're at 200,000. Now the bank wants to know, what is that house going to be worth after you do those renovations, right? So hopefully that house is going to be worth 250, between 250 and 300. Therefore, you have some equity in that house. Now, if it comes back and the bank say you're buying it for 100, you're putting 100 in, and the house is only worth 200, they're not going to want to do that deal because your ratios are going to be so tight. You want to get something where there's going to be some equity left over, and then what's going to happen is, because the bank ain't going to give you all that money up front. The bank is going to allow you to acquire that property, and then they're going to make sure that you have some legit contractors that's going to be working with you and your consultant that you're going to hire to help you get to the finish line. And the bank is going to give money and draw. So the bank may break up those payments to that contractor. Hey, we're going to give you a down payment to get this started. Once you put the new roof on and you do drywall, we'll give you 10 more percent. Once you put down flooring, we'll give you 10 more percent. And they're going to break it up, because what happens is a lot of these contractors will run off with your money if you pay them up front, and you won't get your house done. So that's why you're going to use that consultant who's going to be that third party vendor that's going to determine when your contractor gets paid.
Oh, that's what's up.
So it's not like, so you still can get the money with a
Yes.
fixer upper, but they won't give it to you. Okay,
Correct.
but will they allow? So but it's allowed that it's not just like to fix up the house, the roof and stuff. Like they'll give you enough money to like do floors or like windows and stuff like that. It's just
Yes,
everything that appraises.
you will put that in your scope of work up front. So everything you list, you'll have a line item. Now, if you decide, once you get in that you want to switch something up, it's going to be very difficult for them to give you more money to do those items. So that's why you have that consultant to figure out everything up front. You get your and you have to get a licensed contractor, and that contractor has to be approved. So you can't get Pookie them to come lay down tile for you.
Hey, I was just going to say, I can't get my cousin to do it.
No, because your cousin ain't licensed. Your cousin don't drag their feet. So that's why they require everyone to be licensed in that transaction.
So I have a question. What if I get, say I go to the lender and they approve me for $300,000, but I find a house that I want that's cheaper than that? I know I can do it, but what happens with the rest of that money? I can give that, like, will they give me the whole thing, or they'll just give me what I need for the house?
They're only going to give you what you need for the house.
Okay.
And they're only going to give you what the house appraises for. So, for example, if you're buying that house for $300,000 and the bank comes back and say it's worth $250,000, they're only going to lend you that $250,000.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Is there ever a case where, like, you get a house and they're asking for a certain amount and it only appraises? What would you suggest to your clients?
Yeah, so if it don't appraise, we go back and we renegotiate. And if they don't want to renegotiate, we just terminate that contract and we go find you a new house. Do some people still buy? Absolutely, but I never recommend my folks to buy that house if it does not appraise, just because you're starting off underwater.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Okay.
I think I want to start as cheap as possible.
That's the key. Start low and you trade up.
As cheap as possible. But that's all. I think that's all I had. Perfect. But yeah, I guess I have to start somewhere. That's my thing.
So the other question is floods. I've never really looked at a map, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Even when we doing hurricanes, I don't never really see flood zones. So what are our biggest? I heard Pasco is a big flood zone. Is that the case?
So your flood zone, that map is produced by FEMA. You just look on that map before you buy a home. You're gonna know if it's in a flood zone or not. And because flooding's been such an issue lately. We've come up with a new form that is required by law for your seller of that home to state whether or not they filed a flood claim on it with their insurance company and whether or not they've received any assistance through FEMA due to a flood. So now it's a requirement. Before, it really wasn't required, and if they disclose it, they disclose it. But before you buy a house, you're going to know what flood zone that home is in, whether it's in a flood zone or whether it's not in a flood zone. And you're going to know if it flooded or not with that current owner. And you'll be able to make your decision based on that if you want to move forward and purchase that home or not. But I tell folks, like, if you want, I closed on one today, right? The home is in a flood zone. Were they concerned? Absolutely not, because you also got to take in consideration of the elevation of that home. When that builder built that home, they knew that it was in a flood zone, so they built the home up, right? So the garage is down here, and then your home sits up much higher. And then on top of that, they have a flood insurance policy, right? So if the house were to flood, they have insurance for it.
Okay, so I'm questions just popping up. Okay, so knowing that I just got my house, and the myth is a pool does not really increase your value of your home. How true is that?
Correct. So it will increase the value. It is going to be worth more. But if you were to put a pool in yourself, you're not going to recoup that money. So average pool right now on a low end is going to be like between $80,000 and $90,000, right? To put a brand new pool in today. When you go and sell that house, you're not going to recoup that 80 to 90 grand. You're going to recoup a fraction of that. So if you want a pool home, you buy a house that already has a pool.
Gotcha.
Because they've already taken that hit, not you.
So what about the upgrades? Like, because I know you're a realtor. I just sold my other house, so I know some things that we did to kind of increase the value a little bit, but like expanding the patio and getting the, what do you call it, the back, the screened in back. Does that increase the value?
Yeah, that'll increase your value a little. But honestly, like the big points, like if you really want the best bang for your buck, I say you come in and you redo your kitchen and you redo your bathrooms, right? And it can be a simple upgrade. So I tell folks, you don't have to destroy that entire kitchen. Let's put up a backsplash. If you don't have stone countertops, let's keep your original cabinets, maybe paint them, put some $20 hardware on the front, right? And let's get you a slab of quartz for the countertop. And you've transformed your entire kitchen already, and you've added some value to that home, and it's gonna be more appealing to other buyers. Simple. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, that's a lot of work." I've done this so often; it's very easy.
Okay.
But you have to really shop around and get the right contractor that knows what they're doing, and you got to be able to talk to them. You got to let them know, "Yo, don't go in there and get me brand new, quartz or granite. Go to the scrapyard and see what's left over from a big project, and whatever they got, I want." And that's how you do it. They call it like remnants or something, and remnants is just basically like the leftover pieces from like the large slabs of granite or quartz countertops.
And so your appliances make a difference.
Yes. And you go down there to Famous Tate, go get you something on scratch and dent, and you're good to go.
I'm good. Like I said, I got a new home, so it came with stainless everything. I'm just asking, like, what could I do to like improve the value? I mean, I don't think I really have to, but
put in new ceiling fans. I mean, you can find nice ceiling fans for $120. And if you're handy, you can put them up yourself by watching YouTube. It's a lot of small, simple things that you can do to enhance not only the look and the feel of the home, but also to increase that price, the value of it. And bathrooms are so small, you can easily redo the flooring in a bathroom. And it's fun if your bathroom flooring don't match the rest of the house just because it is that bathroom. You can go a little, crazy. So like in my bathrooms, I have like this very nice high-end Spanish tile, but because my bathroom is maybe like a 5 by and tile, it's maybe like 40 feet of tile. So I didn't care about spending that much money on the floor because I was only buying 40 feet worth. So it cost me nothing. But when folks walk into those bathrooms, like, oh, wow, these are nice floors, right? So it's a lot of those little small things that you can do.
Okay. I ain't trying to sell my house, I'm just asking. So, okay, so we're does anybody have any more questions? I feel like I asked a lot of questions today.
No, those were great questions.
But that's it. My main question was what's the thing, but now I get it. Like, so I'm helping somebody else get 90,000 when I could have 90,000 myself. So it's a process.
Yeah. It's probably
it was just a number. It was just the first number came to my head, but I get it. The amount of money that and I got a question. Now, this is one question I can ask. So basically, like, rent is anywhere between, in Dade City, like anywhere between, I'll say 1,000 and 2,500 in Dade City for rent. Would that be like, how much of that would be a mortgage? Would my mortgage be less, or to be basically the same amount?
It's going to vary. So one of the things that I tell folks that they can do is they can go to mortgagecalculator.org. I think it is. If they Google mortgage calculator, they can pop in any property that they find. So you're going to put in how much that house is going to cost, how much money you're going to put down. It's going to ask you an estimate for the taxes and an estimate for the insurance on that property, and it's going to shoot out what your estimated mortgage is going to be on that property. And there a lot of things goes into your mortgage. So the higher your taxes is, the higher that mortgage is going to be. So therefore, if you find a property that's reasonably priced, where your taxes are going to be decent and your homeowner's insurance is going to be decent, you're going to have a decent payment. Now, if you buy something where your insurance is going to skyrocket, your monthly payment's going to be high as well. So it's a balancing act at the end of the day. You got to figure out how much house can you buy and be comfortable with that payment, because just because you're pre-approved for 500,000 doesn't mean you should spend 500,000. You should spend what you're comfortable with every month, just so you still have money to do other things and you're not house poor.
Okay.
Again, number one thing, live a simple life, right? When we live a simple life, we're fine. We're not struggling. It's when I see folks have issues when they go and ball out on that home that they didn't need. Like, you didn't need a swimming pool. You got a pool in your HOA, right? You didn't need, that third bathroom. Things like that, because we're just trying to get in the door and build that equity and then trade up.
Gotcha.
So when looking for a house, you need to look. You can find out the property taxes while you're looking for an area, or is that something that you do as a realtor?
It's
Like,
going
you
to
can
be
tell them
based
like
on.
estimated.
So you can see the taxes yourself when you're looking at the house online, but the taxes are going to go up most likely when you do purchase, because they're going to reassess it. But the taxes are going to be based on the cost of the home, and if they have homestead exemption or not.
But if they have homestead exemption, that doesn't mean you have it. You have to go and file it for yourself.
Correct. You're going to have homestead exemption for that year, but that following year, if you don't file for it, it will fall off.
Okay, so look at property taxes. Look at whether or not it has CDD fees. HOA. Well, HOA is mostly in most of the neighborhoods. And what else was a good selling point or
Your property taxes are other thing that's going to
taxes?
do that. Yeah. I'm sorry. You already said property taxes. Your
Yeah.
homeowner's insurance.
Oh, the homeowner's insurance. Okay.
Yeah, but the CDDs is what is pushing a lot of folks out of buying, because these CDDs, they get attached to your property taxes, and it adds up.
What are those?
So CDDs are community development district fees. So what happens is these developers, they'll come in and they'll build a brand new community, and they'll charge you these development fees for like putting in the infrastructure. So, hey, we had to come in, we had to put in roads, we had to put in lights. We decided that we're going to put you in a nice community center. We're going to build a park, and we're going to charge you for it. And you're going to pay for that every year on your taxes.
Now we're fighting. My HOA is fighting the CDD. They're trying to get they want to pay 50 grand to put the cover over the mailboxes. So they're literally fighting right now, and I'm like, okay, but it's crazy because they can do things, and ain't nothing you can really do about it if everybody votes for it or it happens. So and when I moved here, I didn't really know that we had CDD fees. I just bought the house, so that's really something to like consider. I knew we had HOA, but I wasn't aware about the CDDs and stuff. So
yeah, and those CDDs, they don't go away anytime soon. They're going to be attached for quite some time.
Yeah, and it covers the pool, which ain't that big. It covers the playground, which ain't that big. We got a parking lot, which ain't that big. A small basketball court, which ain't that big. And the CDD fees are crazy.
So this is another question I just thought of. Somebody said something. How they building these properties, and you know how they be like phase 1, phase 2. So is it true that if you how can I say, if you get into one of those properties, it's best to buy the one in phase one because phase two and phase three and so forth get more expensive each phase.
Correct. Yes. So anytime I'm doing new construction, I like to get in the community right when it opens because phase one is going to be your cheapest price point. Because phase one, they're going to start, let's say, at 400,000. Phase two, after they sell X amount of houses, they're going to go into phase two. And so instead of 400, those homes now are 420, right? Once they sell so many houses in, they're going to go to phase three, which now those price points are 450. Well, you bought in phase one, that same house you bought in phase one, in phase three, it's worth 450. So you got some equity, right? The downside to that is living in phase one is the nonsense, right? You got to deal with construction noise. You got to deal with getting nails in your tire. You got to deal with the workers partying at your house, the house on the weekend. Like you're going to be woken up in the morning. It's going to be chaotic trying to get in and get out of that neighborhood because you're going to have cement trucks coming in, but it's a price you pay at the end of the day. You're paying for that inconvenience because once that community is over and finished, hopefully your value of your home is increased to whatever that last house sells for.
Also, if I started in phase one, when by the time phase three is done and that's all they're gonna do, phase one will be valued at the same price as phase three.
Yes.
Oh,
Because those homes are going to be built within the same, maybe a year difference. But if I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, floor plan, and that same floor plan sells in phase three, it's going to be more expensive in phase three, most likely, than it was in phase one.
and I got another question, and I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm just noticing a lot of these new developments are doing like the upstairs, downstairs. Nobody is really building like single. What is that all about? Single story.
That's what a lot of folks are wanting right now. It's just a trend. You
Oh.
can still find some single story homes, but a lot of folks are tending to want that two story home for some reason. I don't know why. I hate showing 2-story homes because that means I got to go up and down those stairs, back and forth. So, but
It's because okay, so I live with my mama, so and I live in Ruskin, so this is what happens. You buy the house and then people can come live with you. Your family can come live with you. Lennar used to do what is it, the next gen home within a home. They don't do that anymore, but they used to do, you have one house and then there's a separate, like an apartment attached to the house. They stopped doing that, but a lot of, because things are high, so now you got somebody in to stay with you. Your family, it might be your son, their wives or whatever. We see it a lot here because when we moved in, I already got my kids and stuff, but our neighbors, we noticed they moved in, and then now here comes family. So now here come all the cars that are not living here. We thought that they were just visiting, but they're living here, when it's like 12 people over there in this house and it was just two. But I mean, ain't nothing you can say about it because it's now their home. But this is what happens, and now this is how they're able to pay their mortgage and then help that person, because we don't do that because we just selfish,
we
but
are.
they do that. And so now they're helping, like our neighbors 2 houses down, he's helping his son and his wife save money. They're helping them in the process, but then they'll be able to go get their house. It happened in my old neighborhood too, same thing. The houses were so big, you had like 2 or 3 families living in one house because the houses are big, and then you need help because now, like you say, mortgage is high, rent is high, and a lot of people just don't have it like that. But if you're able to get in the house, you can get in the house, and now you got some relief and some help. So that's what a lot of it is. But they do build a lot of 1-story homes. We got a lot in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I
A
have
lot.
seen that where families have moved in, and they've been able to do that comfortably because it is a 2-story home. Because your first floor, you may have the owner suite, into living space, and then upstairs you have a second living room, you have more bedrooms, and they can kind of have their own separate areas to be in when they're at home. And yeah, a lot of other ethnic groups are okay with doing that. When it comes to Black folk, I've noticed that we don't want to do that. We really don't. And it's like, why? We used to sleep on pallets at grandmother's house back in the day. And now
We had no choice then, though.
But when you think about it,
I know.
it makes sense because now everybody's saving money and everybody can come up.
But
absolutely.
see, that's
How
too
about this?
another thing. Everybody, it's hard to find people that's like-minded, because you know
Absolutely.
people take advantage of that, and
It
we
is.
and we are good at taking advantage and scamming and scheming and then yeah.
It is difficult to find folks, but when you do, everybody just has something to lose. They have their teeth in the game. So prime example, let's say 4 of us is on this call right now. Let's say I get pre-approved for $250, and each of you all get pre-approved for $250,000. We got $1 million in purchase power right now. So let's go buy this compound, right? Let's go buy this compound where we can do X, Y, and Z. We can buy a multifamily property now. Let's go buy a quadplex or 2 quadplexes, right? So now we got 8 units. There's 4 of us. We own 8 units. We're going to stay in 4, and we're going to rent the other 4 out, right? So we're going to make money. Or if we want to take it another step level, let's all stay in 1 unit and rent out those other 7. Let's stay there for a year, right? Make that money. And then once it's stabilized, we got those tenants that are in there. Now they're long-term tenants. Now let's go move somewhere else and do it again. Because guess what? We got that mortgage, but that mortgage is being paid for by those tenants.
Yep.
Yeah. Before we're running out of time, but before we leave, so space, buying a piece of land and doing the mobile home thing. People don't talk about that anymore. Do you still is that still a good idea?
It all depends, right? I can't say it's a good idea. I can't say it's a bad idea. Typically, when you buy a mobile home, mobile homes depreciate in value. So they're going to go down. Now, with the exception of the pandemic, I saw mobile home prices go up from appreciation, but traditionally they do go down unless you get a modular home. A modular is when you get the concrete slab poured down and then the home is attached to it, so you cannot move it. Because a mobile home is almost like a car. Like they drop it off, they take the wheels off, they cut the little hitch off, but and those don't typically hold their value. But you can get those for a lower price point. You can tend to get much more space. I mean, I've seen some mobile homes that were 3,000 square feet, 4 bedroom, 3 bath, very nice kitchen, nice bathrooms. But over time, I feel like those mobile homes, they almost wear out if you don't take care of them. Because I've seen some where they were pretty ragged, soft spots in the floor because they didn't do a proper vapor barrier underneath. They just didn't maintain it.
So mobile home and what's the other one are 2 different too?
Yes, a mobile home so a manufacturer home is basically a mobile home, and then you have a modular home. Sorry, a modular home is the concrete slab.
Oh, that's good to know too. So if I decided to go that, I know which one is that'll last longer. So the one with the concrete slab lasts.
Honestly, you're going to spend the same amount of money with the modular with the concrete slab than you would with a single family home, because that concrete slab, that's what's going to cost you, let's say $30,000 just to pour that slab. It's going to cost some money.
Oh.
But the property, buying a piece of land, buying land, is it feasible at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, you can buy land. So that's why a lot of people like mobile homes, because the zoning for mobile homes are different. You typically can't do those in city limits, and you typically have some acreage for those. Yes, you can, but your land values have gone up. a lot. So, and you want an acre of land in Dade City, I'd tell folks be ready to spend between $45,000 and $60,000 for 1 acre, and then you got to worry about, can I connect it to the sewer system, or do I need a septic system, and do I need a well to put in? That's another $15,000.
Gotcha. Well, so it's 9:57. We are at the end of our time. We appreciate you, Mr. Milton, for coming on. Everybody
Thank
say
you.
thank you, Mr.
Thank
Milton.
you. Thank you.
Welcome. You're very welcome.
A lot of help, a lot of help. We appreciate you so much. Hopefully we can get you back on in the future, because this is not a one and done. We are so into just helping our people, but helping everybody, but mostly our people get in the know. These are, like I said, these are conversations we don't talk about, things that we don't talk about, but we want to start bringing and shedding light to things because they don't know, and that's the fear for a lot of us, which is why a lot of us have issues doing some of what we just talked about. So we appreciate you for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching Conversations Unlocked and Unfiltered. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. We just ask that you continue to like, share, follow. Um, I'm at a blank right now. Like, share, and follow. Leave it at the altar. Like, share, and follow the New Cavaliers page. This is going to be posted. This is also posted on YouTube under the New Cavaliers. Um, and also I think he said it's on Instagram. I'm not sure. But anyway, for everybody watching, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for the comments. For those that were watching, I think those were your followers. And then for everybody just tuning in, we appreciate you guys so much. We love you guys. And so we will ask, are you feeling okay to pray us out, Bishop? You look
Yeah.
so sick.
Okay, this the wrong time to be sick.
He got sick from the baby.
Um,
Right. Oh, yes, yes. Father God, thank you for giving us this day. We thank you for blessing us with this platform. Thank you for our brother Milton for coming on and sharing such wonderful information with us. Hopefully, it reaches someone, teaches someone, and we look forward to having him on the platform again. And bless him in his business and his um, uh, things that he's involved in, that he may continue to bless people and shed light and help those who don't know. Continue to bless everyone that's a part of this uh, platform. Bless all our followers, our family, our friends, and we just thank you for loving us unconditionally and giving us everything that we need and even the things that we want. So we ask that you just continue to bless us and thank you for all that you've done, all that you're doing, and all that you are going to do. And we ask that you just continue to bless this world and all the chaos that's in it. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. All these things in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
amen. Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. Thank you to our followers. And again, it costs nothing to like, share, and follow. And go and follow Mr. Sherman Milton III, the real estate advisor. They call him the real estate guru. Go follow him. You guys can find his information on our page. We do have a flyer, so like and share the flyer. He is accepting new clients. He's always willing to talk, right? You say you're willing to give advice, you're willing to talk. So thank you again. I can't thank you enough for, there you go. There's the flyer. I can't thank you enough for joining us. And again, please don't
Yeah,
be a stranger. We will love to have you back on our podcast. So, with all that being said, we appreciate everybody. We appreciate you again. Do you want to have any last words?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you for accepting.
Anytime.
All right, close us out because you falling asleep. Close us out.
I'm good. I'm not sleepy. I'm just stuffy and I hate it. Also, a reminder to everybody out there in La La Land. Um, Need y'all to show up and show out this Saturday in Wild Mama, Florida at Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church, because Darrell Holloman and the New Cavaliers will be celebrating for your anniversary. We want to see you. If you cannot make it, go ahead and hit that Cash App and send a love offering to the New Cavaliers 21. $ the New Cavaliers 21. We love and appreciate any and everything from $1 on up to thousands of dollars, whatever God lay on your heart. And just go ahead and get your blessing. And in the meantime, my phone fell.
Or did he just it just hung him up? And also, they will also be on that Sunday. They have another concert in Lakeland. So for those of
Won't
you
let you
guys,
in, Satan.
yeah, for those of you that are free, join us on Sunday. If you can't make it Saturday, we want to see you Saturday. We want to see you Sunday, but at least make one of the days. Can you put the flyer up real quick?
Yeah, I
We got
can.
Sunday flyer. So
Yeah.
join us on Sunday if you're not doing anything. And we'll be in Lakeland. And this is free admission. So there's no reason why you can't come. Don't say you got any money. It's free. So please, please come out and join us. And
And
okay, we're done. Close us out.
as my
Thank
sister say, bring your love offering and your hate offering.
Oh,
All of it. I promise not to sound like this when I'm saying. So anyways, just always remember, world, that no matter what you're going through all your home buying and all that good stuff, just always remember that the best is always yet to come. We'll holler at y'all.
bye.
yeah, bye.